I'd like to call this meeting to order. First thing on the item is roll call. Staff?
Attendance noted.
Okay, very good. And then approval of the minutes for the study session and the regular planning commission meeting of May 27th.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Okay, and this is an opportunity for citizens to address the commission on items not on the agenda. If there's anyone that wishes to address the commission at this time, this is your opportunity. Anyone? Okay. Seeing none, ask for a motion. Oh, don't have to have a motion. Just move along. New business. Consideration of 2017-2020 capital improvement plan and a finding of consistency with the comprehensive plan of the capital improvement program and 2016 capital improvement budget. Staff?
Thank you, Commissioner Chair Jabs. Each year, the city manager makes a recommendation to the city council regarding the capital improvement budget for the upcoming year. The Planning Commission is responsible for reviewing the capital improvement plan and making a recommendation to the city council. The commission is also responsible for ensuring that the CIB and CIP are consistent with the comp plan. Today, Finance Manager Chris Regis is going to give you an overview and stand for questions.
Thank you, Melissa. Members of the members of the commission. I'm just going to give a real short, brief summary of what the 2016 capital improvement budget and the 2017 and the 2020 capital improvement plan is. Just a brief review of the capital improvement process. Projects are identified by city commissions, departments, and the HRA. Preliminary report is generated by the city manager and presented to the planning commission, like we're doing tonight. And then the planning commission reviews the projects based on the following consideration: the proposed project's conformance to the comprehensive plan. Then, if the planning commission does approve it, then it is recommended back to the city manager. The city manager then formalizes the CIB, CIP, and includes it in the annual budget. Just some of the significant projects. In 2016, will be the second year of the 6-year mill and overlay project. The estimated project cost of this is $19,500,000. You've probably run into this already this year. I think some of the work is going on just east of Portland off of 70th Street there. Then 2016, 66th Street reconstruction. Estimated project cost right now is $54 million. Hopefully that cost is going to come down, but right now it's at $54 million. 2017 ice arena conversion to indirect refrigeration. The estimated project cost is $3 million. Now they're really not going to start the project until in 2017. That's really when they're going to start accumulating cash reserves through the special revenue fund, which is, in a sense, which is liquor profits and things like that. They're going to start accumulating cash and hopefully start at least with one ice arena, one rink in 2020. Then 2018, the Penn Avenue liquor store relocation. I think that last year was the first year that this project was on there. There is a desire to relocate the Penn liquor store. The problem is just finding a suitable site to relocate it on the Penn Avenue corridor there and things like that. So this may be on there for a while, may get pushed back, but they are looking to do that. 2019, the Nicollet Avenue reconstruction, estimated project cost of $11,700,000. Then 2020, the 65th Street reconstruction, estimated project cost of $5.4 million. Then some of the projects beyond 2020, 77th Street underpass, I think that's going to get moved up now prior to 2020, since we just got $10 million from the legislature, plus the additional $2.5 million we got last year for planning and design. So that's probably going to get moved up 2016, 2017, something like that. That's just a guess on my part, so don't quote me on that. Then there's the 76th Street West reconstruction, Humboldt Avenue, Lakeshore Drive reconstruction, Lindale Avenue improvements, and then the Penn Avenue reconstruction. And a lot of these funding for these projects are either coming through a lot of the road projects, either through GEO bonds or GEO street reconstruction bonds, or probably some kind of federal state funding to a combination thereof and things like that. And that is a quick summary of exactly what's in the plan. I just tried to hit on some of the bigger projects that are within the plan and things like that. And as you can see, most of the bigger projects are really the road projects that are going on right now in the city. I mean, there's a lot. Portland's going to happen this summer. There's 69th Street's going to happen. I think they're starting some of the planning on 66th Street. So I mean, that's all going on now, and there's just going to be more going forward and things like that. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions, any concerns with the projects or anything.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Wow, you're gonna get by easy.
It all evens out over time.
Okay. Hearing no questions, I ask for a motion.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you, Chris.
Just one point of clarification. Were you moving both items 1 and 2? Yes. Okay, thank you.
Oh, one and
And
two.
everyone was voting for items 1 and 2.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, we're all good. Thank you for the clarification. Okay, thanks, Chris. On to public hearing. Consider a request for a conditional use permit and a variance to allow construction of a cluster housing development consisting of 5 townhomes at 2517 76th Street West. Staff?
Thank you. The Housing and Redevelopment Authority purchased the 6-bedroom single-family home located at 2517 76th Street in 2010 after it had been on sale for on the market for several years. The home was subsequently sold and moved in 2011. In March of this year, the HRA approved the sale of this vacant lot to the Greater Metropolitan Housing Corporation, or GMIC, for the development of 5 townhomes. The property is zoned single-family residential and guided for medium-density housing, which is 7 to 10 units per acre in the comprehensive plan. The proposed cluster housing development is able to meet all but one requirement of both of those designations, and the one requirement is lot coverage. The proposed homes offer 1,400 square feet of finished living space on the main level and include 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and an attached 2-car garage. Buyers will have the option of finishing the basement for additional bedroom and living space. However, as proposed, the homes will provide single-level living. The development has a traditional design and height that will complement the existing homes in the area while providing some transition to the high-density complex to the east. Cluster housing development regulations were adopted by the city in 1996, and they were intended to provide additional opportunities for infill development and allow for a wider variety of housing. Regulations were intended to allow higher density housing while ensuring that the design of the housing would be compatible with the single-family character of the neighborhood. There is only one other cluster housing development in the city. It's Penn Place Apartments at 69th and Penn, and that was approved in 2004. Just a little bit about the variance that's been requested. The maximum allowable lot coverage in this district is 35%. As proposed, the structure would cover 39.4% of the lot. With an existing sample size of 1, the Penn Place Apartments, it's difficult for staff to determine whether or not the regulations that were adopted in 1996 are truly workable standards. They did work for Penn Place, as in this one, we're a little bit off. The development is unique by the fact, again, that it's only the second development of this type that the city has even considered. The maximum building coverage, so you're aware, allowed for cluster housing developments is the same as the coverage allowed for a single-family home. So on most of your lots, the maximum lot coverage is 35%. That was not changed for cluster housing development. Staff believes that the proposed variance is reasonable and will have no adverse impact on the surrounding properties. As per usual, there are a number of different review criteria that apply to the proposal. They're detailed in your packet in the attached document. With the exception of the variance for lot coverage, staff believes that all the criteria are met, and I'd be happy to discuss those with you if you have questions. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to Bill Bulow from Greater Metropolitan Housing Corporation and Julie Urban, who is here if you have any questions about the HRA process that led up to this.
Okay, thank you. And so, Bill, are you interested in giving us any side notes or tell us about the project a little bit more?
Good evening. I'm Bill Bulow, Greater Metropolitan Housing Corporation. And as you're probably aware of our project, we've worked closely with our architect to come up with, and our marketing agents, one-level living houses that we feel are really marketable and desired floor plans. And yet it's always a struggle to keep the size down and yet come up with a desirable floor plan without making bedrooms too narrow and that. And we feel as we're really excited about this plan, we feel that it has a unique look. And the floor plan we feel is really going to be desirable. And looking for your support with our permit and variant.
Okay, any questions of staff or of Bill?
I'd like to ask of staff, so you mentioned like the comprehensive plan designates this for medium density residential. It's currently single family residential. And I realize our zoning designations don't match one-to-one with the comprehensive plan designations, but is there a reason why this isn't being rezoned to medium density residential rather than being conditionally permitted in single family?
Right, you could have done it either way. We could have, they could have requested a rezoning to MR2, to a medium density. In that district, you're gonna more look at a more traditional multifamily housing development.
Okay.
The desire to provide more of a townhome, single living type structure, that fits more with the single family residential district, and that's why we chose to go for the conditional use permit, or why we at a staff level recommended that they apply for a conditional use permit as opposed to applying for a rezoning.
Okay. And then the other thing is what makes something distinctly a cluster home? So like you mentioned, the only one that is considered a cluster home is Penn Place, but why is like Castile Place or Kensington Park townhomes, how are those different?
So Kensington is developed as a PUD. It offers multiple types. You know,
Yeah.
there's the townhome component, but there's also the condominiums and the retail that were all developed as one single unit. And then Castile Place, you know, I don't actually remember what Castile Place, I believe, was developed under the standard MR2 designation, but they could have been a PUD. I don't know if Julie happens to remember. It was before me and after Julie, I believe.
Okay, so it's more a statement that this is the second time this process is applied rather than this is a completely unique housing type.
Right, you know, it is more unique in that it's Castile Place, butts up against higher density, a bigger corridor. We didn't look at townhome. I can't remember when Castile Place was built. I can't remember the details. So this particular type of townhome development is what was envisioned for cluster house development.
Okay.
And I believe it was mentioned this is transitional to something that is nearby.
It is. It's transitioning, attempting to transition to something that's difficult to transition to, which is Crossroads at Penn, which is one of our most dense developments in the city.
Okay. And just a question, is there like a target listing price for each of the units or something like that?
That's a moving target, but 280.
Okay, and would that be consistent with the neighborhood per se, or transitional in the neighborhood? Do we know? Has any kind of a study been done in that regard?
Yeah, we work closely with our marketing agent who does market analysis for us, and for new construction, one-level townhomes, which are fairly desirable at this time, that's the comps he was coming up with.
Okay.
And just so I have sort of a level setting of understanding, because of the misalignment between comp plan and zoning, it would have been a presumptive granting of the rezoning request had it been requested for a project that was more substantial.
Well, it could have been. The zoning designation and the comp plan designation are not actually inconsistent.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The fact that the single-family zoning designation allows for this higher density townhome type development is the reason that it was left this zone with the slightly higher density. So could they have requested it? Would it have been automatic? No.
All right,
Yeah.
that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, and staff, relative to the Penn development that we had, what, any feedback that had come back relative to the Penn one as far as, you know, negative or positive?
You know, we don't hear much about Penn Place at all anymore. I think when Penn Place went in, there was some concern. But as far as I know, that has worked out very, very well in that neighborhood.
Okay. And are these two-car garages or one car?
Yes, they all are 2-car garages.
Okay. And as far as, I drove by there today, I mean, I think it fits in real nicely, but as far as, there really isn't any shadow situation here, is there, for anybody? I mean, their height isn't going to limit it at all.
No, they're very low profile, which is about the same height as the homes across the street,
Okay.
and the apartments are behind us.
Okay. Okay, good. Other questions?
I have a question. So the 35% is really because they're single family. If they were to be rezoned medium density, what would the coverage be for that?
If they were rezoned to MR2, it's actually a similar lot coverage at 35%.
At 35, okay.
Right. I think that, you know, what we're trying to achieve through the lot coverage is making sure that there's ample open space, especially in a multifamily setting. You want to make sure that you're providing open space for each and every unit. In this case, they also, they're in one of the more difficult watershed districts to work with. So I don't feel like we're by allowing a lot coverage that's higher than normal, and still they're able to achieve those stormwater requirements. And if you take a look at the site, it doesn't appear to overwhelm the site. I think it's okay.
I'm curious, so the 35%, is that just the structure or is that any impervious surface? Do driveways and stuff count in that?
That's the structure. That's lot coverage. Lot coverage refers to items with roofs.
Okay.
And impervious surface. They meet the impervious surface requirements. It's just lot coverage.
Okay, and then related to that, I noticed on the site plan, there's pretty much all the open space is drainage area. Why is it that that's necessary here, but that wasn't done in Penn Place or in other places? Is there some sort of special requirement to retain all the water here, or what?
Right. This watershed district will require that all of the water be retained on site.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay, this is a public public hearing. If there's anyone who wishes to come and address the commission at this time, it's your opportunity. Okay, ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Okay. I really like this design a lot better than Penn, only because it's much more friendly to the neighborhood as such. And driving by there, I think the people across, obviously nobody's here, so they didn't have anything to really say about it. Oh, you are there? Okay, you are there. But I think it's set back enough and really should really be nice like a regular neighborhood needs as far as that street is concerned. I like especially that the garages are tucked under and that Penn one was just still seems so squishy to me, let us just say. But it works, so I guess that's the thing. So that's my comments. Any other comments?
I don't know. I feel really concerned about the garage situation on this site and how compatible that is with the neighborhood.
Could you repeat that? I didn't hear.
Oh, sorry. I'm concerned about the garage design here and how compatible that is with the neighborhood. I went over and looked at it too, and I noted that basically the rest of the block, we're looking at narrow driveways that are about 9 feet wide where they meet the street. I think there was only one driveway wider than that, and there are 7 on the block currently. This would bring 5 more where it's about half the frontage becomes driveway and becomes garage door. And I think that's really, it's inconsistent. It takes away on-street parking from the neighborhood, and I'm really not comfortable with that.
Okay, other comments?
No, the houses will face Sheridan. Mm-hmm.
They all have garages.
And they all have driveways, so
let Susan finish
they'll
her
be
point.
parking there, so it's not an issue for much on-street parking issues.
Well, it's more to me that you're then sort of wasting that whole width of the street that's dedicated on-street parking because it's all driveway cuts.
I have been over there in that block quite a bit, back in the day, but there didn't seem to me like there was that much on-street parking problems because they all had driveways and.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's not, my concern is not so much that there's a demand and there's not going to be space for the cars, it's just that it seems really inconsistent with the way the driveways are set up on the other side of the street, where they're all much narrower, the garages are set generally behind the houses. And especially compared to Penn Place, where it seems like a pretty similar situation at a corner lot where they were able to keep the driveways and garages behind the property. This just doesn't seem nearly as high quality as that first development in this regard, and it doesn't seem as compatible with the neighborhood.
Are you saying that you'd rather have single car than double car garages?
I think that would help. Ideally, I would have loved to see the developer put the garages behind in some way, or some way that it was not the dominating frontage of the house. And I do appreciate that the porches are set forward and there's some details, but just more than half of looking at that building is garage doors, and that's not typical of Richfield, and it's definitely not typical of this block.
Okay, well, I guess I'd just say relative to the garages, I think the two-car garages keep the cars off the street. So I think that's positive in my opinion. And I think I just like the way that it lays into the atmosphere. I really think once anything else would have been not acceptable, but I think if you look at that land, the streets is a little bit wider in it seems, and so I think they're going to like it. I mean, it seems like a good benefit to me. I like the two-car garage from keeping them off the streets.
I think the other differentiator is to replicate something like on Penn would require ingress and egress to come off of 76th Street and more driveways and more entry points into that, where that corner is already a disaster, leading up to it with the amount of traffic that comes out of Crossroads. I think it would be more challenging just from an aesthetic perspective to have the primary drive out on 76th. So I don't know how you'd get a drive oriented other than fronting onto Sheridan.
Yeah, I get that 76 is more challenging than 69th was for Penn Place, but I have to believe that when you're doing a development this large, there has to be another way than having 70% of the front of the house be car storage. The other concern is that the density requirements in the comp plan is just short of the actual requirement. The actual requirement is 7 to 12, and this is like 6.9, so it's close, and maybe that's being a little bit picky, but it doesn't seem to really hit the nail on the head with regard to the density that the comp plan wanted either.
I'm not sure which numbers you were using, but it does meet the requirement.
It does meet the requirement.
It does meet the requirement.
Okay.
Other comments?
I was gonna say, I agree. I don't love seeing the double garage and, welcome to my garage as you walk into the house and having that look. But I also think this day and age, it's really hard to just have a single car garage. So I think having the double, as much as maybe it doesn't fit with the way current Richfield looks, is important. And I do appreciate that they are going to look different and are set back. And I think that helps. And
Any other comments? Okay, hearing none. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion?
Are we voting on the CUP or the variance, or both?
Let's vote on the CUP first. We'll just make it 2 points so staff gets the call. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
So if you want to do that, if you want to take it in two pieces,
Yeah.
then someone will need to vote to split the motion.
That's fine.
Okay.
So the motion is for the CUP.
So you need, first, someone will have to make a motion to split the question.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got you. Oh, because it's double.
Because right now, it's worded as
I'm
approved both at the same
revert
time.
back to who made the motion.
So Susan made the initial motion.
Okay.
And I'll make the second,
So
for the first part of this.
right now, it's currently one question.
So
If
what
we
do we
want to
need?
make it two questions, we can make it two questions, but I believe you were moving for one question and I was seconding, or you were moving for both questions, I was seconding for both questions. So we would have to back that motion off,
Oh, okay.
or we can just roll with what we have. Because I don't think it'll change the outcome.
No, let's roll with what we have and see what the vote is. And if it turns out that it doesn't go. How about that?
I'm all for that.
Okay, very good. Okay, so
Rolling with what we have.
Okay, we're rolling with what we had. So a motion was made and seconded to approve both pieces of the cup and the variation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Carries. Thank you. And good luck. Thanks. Thanks. Okay. Any old business? No old business. Liaison reports. Community Services Advisory Commission. Susan?
The communities, I didn't go to the communities. I did it, I gave the report last time for communities. They didn't have a meeting.
No.
I just went, yeah.
That's right, meeting was canceled, so never mind, no report on that one. I was thinking of the
Was
last
I supposed to have gone to that?
To the no meeting? Yeah. No.
Oh, no. I thought you told me. You just wanted me to go to that one.
Never mind. Okay, we're good. Okay, City Council.
I think that was me, and I just want to say that the Human Rights Commission nominated Miss Richfield, 1981, as the Person of the Year. And because I'm a Miss Richfield 1981 groupie, I think it's great, and I'm really excited about having her. Russ King, who is he's also known as, he's a graduate and a longtime resident of Richfield, so it was really a good choice. So, and they voted, and they had the reception and everything for Miss Richfield 1981. So that was kind of cool.
Thank you. Housing Redevelopment Authority.
They were looking at some vision planning and some kind of guidance for housing coming up. They did table that and are going to review it, I believe, at their next meeting again. So, not much to report.
School Board? Who's got that? Oh, yeah, he's not here. No report. Transportation Commission?
Yeah, the Transportation Commission, we've been having these guests in. This time it was a guest from City of Bloomington to talk about the restoration of the Long Meadow Bridge on Old Cedar Avenue. So they talked about starting that this year and it'll be complete next fall. So basically disassembling the bridge piece by piece and rebuilding it. And it'll be a really nice regional trail connection and also a good transportation, non-motorized transportation access between Dakota County and Hennepin County. The only other update was Portland Avenue was bid out and a contract was approved, and they're supposed to start digging on July 6th. So,
Chamber of Commerce?
No report?
No report. Anything else? No. How about City Planners Report?
Just a reminder that the next meeting is on July 27th, and before that, you can mark your calendars. We're going to have a work session to talk about tap rooms. So it's going to be probably a joint work session with the Planning Commission and City Council. So 6 o'clock.
What was that date?
On the same
Oh,
day,
okay.
July 27th.
Oh, the same day.
Yep. Monday before the regular meeting.
Anything else? Gordon?
So moved.
Meeting is adjourned. All in
Thank
favor,
you.
say aye.
Aye.
I
Thank you. Bye.